Also, shout out to my buddies at Yoshimura. They back my podcast. I haven't done one in a while. So extra shout out to Yosh. Making good in the podcast sponsorship that I'm not taking advantage of because I haven't done enough. But I did interview this guy. Oh, this is terrible, Bolt-on.
He roosted Snickers.
He roosted? Hey, you're not yourself until you have that Snickers.
That's how Hunter Lawrence does it.
I'm really surprised, knowing Hunter, that he would eat a Snickers right before he went out on the track. I'm very shocked. So I interviewed Chance Hymas, and I will have a podcast, a good long interview with him coming up this week. Look for the RacerX Podcast Network. Hymas got some buzz going now after the overall win, and that is how fickle racing can be, right? This guy literally had a first moto where he led and went all the way back to fourth. That's not good. Then at the end of the day, he has a moto where he led and wins and then gets the overall but 4-1 scores. That's really good, and that is the thin line between momentum in racing. That could have been Ty Masterpool's day. He rode great last week at Redbud. And then Hayden Degan, we thought, oh man, maybe that's the first bad day of the year for him, but that turns out he crashed into a rider who was downed. We saw the endo earlier in the moto when Tom Vial and Masterpool were going by. Degan hit the bike. So it's an incomplete grade on Degan's performance at Redbud. I don't think you can say, well, he wasn't riding well or had a bad day, when really he almost won the first moto and then crashed into a down bike in Moto 2. So we don't know where we are in the 250s. Is Degan still the boss man, or is Hymas going to take advantage of the momentum that he gained? The interesting thing about Hymas, and this is why I wanted to talk to him, and you'll see or hear the longer interview, is he is well equipped for the path that he is on. I want to get to the Sam Whoops over here. They're rolling them right now on the first lap of press day. Here we go.
Sir,
nice to meet you. Thank you. The good folks of Minnesota, the nicest people ever. Checked into my hotel last night at like 1 in the morning, and the guy couldn't have been nicer. That's not always what you get at 1 in the morning. Here's how Hymas is well equipped for this, and Masterpool as well. These are not guys who have just won and won and won and won prolifically their whole lives. My gosh, have those guys had some ups and downs. We know the Masterpool story. I mean, he was a privateer for years, the tragic story with his brother. So this is all bonus time for him. There isn't pressure on Masterpool. This is great. This is maybe the best summer of his life right now, and he's got to feel like I'm getting better and better and better. So he's not intimidated by anything or anyone. He's not pulling off the track saying, man, why can't I win this? He's pulling off saying, I'm so close to breaking through. And I think that's the same thing with Hymas. He's not winning every moto, he's not going 1-1, but for him, I think he feels like this is doable. And it is because those two have had their struggles that they're equipped to ride those ups and downs, to slowly build, to get better and better, little by little, moto by moto, week by week. The Degan onslaught in that 250 class can be very intimidating to other riders who expect to win, have always won. There's some riders in that 250 class who are prolific winners in their amateur career or earlier or whatever. Pro riders are good riders. That's Marshall Welton. That is so cool, fun, gnarly. I would love to be able to do, if I could just do that on a motorcycle, lap in, lap out for fun, like he's doing it with no effort, that would be a huge box check for me. And that's Marshall Welton. He's not winning all the motos either, but he's good. Now these guys starting to open it up. Anyway, watch this space because, excuse me, sir. Woo! Thank you very much. Wish I had a pit bike. Here, I have one at home. My point is this: as Degan establishes himself as the alpha of his group of the 250 class, we are going to be on the lookout of who can flip it on him. Who will be the Villapoto to the Alessi? Who will be the Sexton to the Fortner? For whatever reason. In Fortner's case, he just got hurt a lot. You never know. Who's the guys that can flip it? And I think you might be looking at Hymas and Masterpool. Masterpool only outdoors. We have definitely not seen that sign in Supercross. But these guys are starting to build a case for themselves as, I can do this. Not gonna lie, where are the whoops? What's the deal, yo? So these things, where are the whoops? These whoops are not big enough.
They're not here.
No, come on.
They're not here, man.
They're not here. All right, we got a long time between now and Saturday. Let's hope. So that's the specter of the 250 division. I think Degan already did the damage in the first half of the year. We already know he's kind of the guy to beat. Say the points, say the results, say all that. Who's equipped to take those beatings, get better, keep coming after them? Well, Hymas is definitely maybe at the top of that list right now. But it's racing, and like I said, it's a thin line. Could be Tom Vial this weekend, or Degan just won ones it. You never know. Minnesota's own. Only the Weege Show gets you live updates from the side of the racetrack. As for the 450s, we talked to the previous show last week. Would we get the same Chase Sexton, or would he go to another level now that Jim Morris is out, whether it's confidence or it might be? The evidence from one race would say yes, he went 1-1. Again, a very thin line. Because even Chase admitted he doesn't know if he would have found a spot to pass Hunter in Moto 1. If Hunter doesn't go down, then maybe they split motos. Hunter isn't coming into Moto 2 a little banged up, and maybe the whole thing changes. Again, that's the thin line between what's a great day and a bad day is often this much, which is awesome to know the racing is that close. Anyway, the early returns for Sexton without Jet is 1-1, taking over the points lead. It's a lot of momentum. He's very good at this track. If you go back to 2022, Eli Tomac was hanging a massive win streak halfway through the year. This is where Sexton really started to put some pressure back on him and show that he could beat him and not just wilt, what a lot of guys do when Eli gets rolling. And he came back at Red Bud in Southwick, which was before this race last year. It really wasn't that close to Jet, but here he really put pressure on. So this is a good track for Sexton. And if he gets rolling, I think we'll have our answer. But it's going to take a few weeks, I think, to know for sure. Don't hit me. And finally, let's talk other riders in the 450 division. I talked to Dylan Ferrandis' team. I think at one point we were wondering what was up with Ferrandis, and now I think we've gotten even worse, where we're not even wondering, we're not even talking about him, thinking about him. Dylan Ferrandis is still at these races. Second in the points last year, podium, non-stop. He wasn't even happy last year, and he was getting podiums. And of course, champion 2 years ago. Been working on the engine with Phoenix Honda. Talking to the crew over there, they basically felt in Supercross they had more than enough motor. Dylan said this is, any more motor would be too much. So they did a few changes for outdoors and thought it'd be enough. And by the first couple rounds, they realized we need more power. So they've gone to work on that, but it's actually, for the start, worse. More power is worse. Fighting wheelies. So they're trying to figure out the motor package that gets him what he needs on the track. And maybe have starts closer to that guy, our guy Phil. So watch for Ferrandis, at least wants to get in that podium battle. And And Justin Cooper has moved to third in points now that Jet Lawrence is out. And that, to me, is exactly where you'd expect him to be. That's how good he's always been. He's battling guys he's always battled. He is not a stranger to battling Hunter Lawrence or Jet Lawrence or even Chase Sexton back in the 250 days when Sexton was there. The most underrated rider in the game. This is not surprising. This is not overachieving. This is just who Justin Cooper is. For whatever reason, people don't seem to realize it. Final thing I'm going to talk about here, I asked our guy Jason Thomas, why do people love Millville so much, and he said it's the dirt. I mean, look at it. Beautiful. Anyway, that's the Weege show. Thanks to the folks at Honda. They have a really cool giveaway going with the 2024s, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And thanks to our buddies at Yoshimura as well. I'm going to talk to a few riders from press day real quick. The battling teammates, that's what I love about this series. Guys that you're not even seeing are having the battles of their lives back in the pack. I'm going to talk to Welton and Marsha Welton and Grant Harlan, who are teammates. Some cool battle stories and their strategy to take on these races. Welton and Harlan, yes.
Yeah, Grant steps it up, man. He gets the good starts, and then we haven't really been battling, but we gauge each other every moto. We end up having the same pace, so.
Really?
If I had some bad starts at Redbud, so that kind of set me off. In South Lake, we actually were battling, and I tipped over and took us both out. So.
No! Hey, you're starting to rally. Do you almost feel like you're where you were in outdoors last year? Like results-wise, it's getting there.
I feel like the speed isn't there yet.
Okay.
I think my fitness, whether I'm like super fit or not, I think I can just kind of survive the motos.
Yes.
I feel like the major indicator for me on the fitness is last year. Like here, I was able to pressure time for the whole moto, and I know Garrett was sick last year, but I was able to keep up with him. Where this year, maybe I can't put as much into my speed because I need to have some for the whole moto. So
you think about this during the race?
Not during the race, but like I kind of, it's something I know, know about myself.
Yeah.
You know, like when I first started, my fitness wasn't as good.
Yeah.
And I would like start off like decent. I mean, 8 seconds a lap. Like I think 1 year at Redbud, I was like 8-9 seconds lap off for like 3 laps.
Okay.
And then I climbed it back up.
Wow.
So like, that's kind of an indicator for me on my fitness. Like if I can keep the same lap times I start with, you know, fade a little bit obviously, but be consistent through the whole moto. Where I'm finishing, I feel like that's a good sign for me.
So now you're the opposite. You've got the whole moto thing down. You want a little more in spurts?
Yeah, but I also know I need results. So it's more important for me to be there every moto than to, I guess, show speed.
Is this for points purposes, SMX points purposes?
I mean, points purposes, like, I'm already thinking like my bad Southwick.
Yeah.
I'm like, whenever I get to the MX Sports deposit, it's not going to be as much as it would have been.
Oh, even that. And is there a contingency or bonuses and all that?
Yeah.
I see.
Yamaha contingency and FXR contingency. So when I don't have a good weekend because of a fall or a bad start or something, it hurts me.
So yeah, you don't want to blow up, have 5 laps of glory, and then get 18.
Yeah, like even in Supercross, like sometimes I don't hit rhythm sections or don't take that risk because the only way for me to keep racing is to be healthy. You know, I can't go out there, extend it, and then go home on my $200,000 a year paycheck. So
there we go.
That's where I'm at.
I'm glad someone's admitting it. The result, is it any different having won, or you managed to get yourself back to this? I'm just trying to get better every day.
Yep, get better every day. Same every weekend. No need to reinvent the wheel. So.
But you must feel good having fixed, you had a problem in the first moto and you kind of fixed it with yourself. Is that another notch in your belt of like, hey, maybe next first moto, I can do what I did in Moto 2?
Definitely. Yeah, I need to probably come in with a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, but not be so, I guess the word is not be so energized, you know? Just need to chillax a little bit, like, got 2 motos throughout the day. Moto's 35 minutes, 3 minutes is a long time, so race starts the second half of the moto, so I just need to, you know, back her down a little bit, but, you know, stay on.
You just held on too hard in the first moto.
Basically, I was just, you know, full throttle, elbow down, full throttle.
Yes.
So I was a little hyped up, but I mean, learn how to control the emotions a little bit, but
Cool.
figure it out.
Thank you. Welcome back. Press day almost a wrap here. I love this sign. Look at this sign here. It says RacerX Webcast. That sign is so old. Yes, before we had live television at the races, we called it the RacerX Webcast, where we had live audio you could listen to. Of course, I was the announcer of that. What haven't I been the announcer for? And it goes back so long, I literally remember Guy, the announcer, local announcer at the track. His name is Guy. I hear his voice right now. I remember talking to him on the webcast about Ryan Dungey's pro debut. Like, how was it gonna go? You know him, he's a local guy, you're a local guy. Yes, I remember talking about how would Ryan Dungey's pro debut go. That is now so long ago. We went through an entire career of Dungey, and now he's well into retirement, really for a second time. Just remember those days up in that tower. So press day is a wrap. As I mentioned, the show brought to you by Honda. We know the 2025 CRF450R and CRF250R, they're headed to dealerships. Chris Kiefer already has a test of the 250 you can watch on this YouTube channel. Next week, the embargo lifts. They were riding the bikes at Ironman Raceway, the 450 this week. Watch for the test, I believe, on July 17th. Kiefer, get his thoughts on the new bike. But if you're interested in a 2024 Honda, there are still some around, and Honda's throwing in a really cool giveaway with some Matrix components, a lot of money that they'll just give you free stuff if you buy one of the 2024s. So pick what you want, a 2024 or 2025, the new bike or the old bike with some free stuff. You know me, I like free stuff. That's our show, and it's gonna be very interesting tomorrow. That thin line, right? That thin line between what could have been a successful weekend last weekend for, say, Masterpool or Hunter Lawrence, and then turned out to be a successful weekend for Sexton and Hymas. Think about how thin that line is between leaving the weekend happy, satisfied, or, oh, that could have been mine. Hopefully we get more good racing, and that's in play again.